Love can arrive like a quiet rumor carried through rooms we've walked 1,000 times. Then settle in the heart with surprising force. Tonight, I want to walk with you through 5 love stories from history that didn't just survive the tests of time, they actually altered the way romance is written, remembered, and believed. From letters that spoke for hearts when words felt too small, to monuments that whispered promises to future generations. These tales show romance as a force that shapes us as surely as any sunrise. Our first stop is a century and a half deep in the scholastic shadow of medieval Europe, where a brilliant thinker and a gifted young woman sparked a conversation about love that would travel through centuries. Peter Abelard, a philosopher of dazzling mind, and Héloïse, a woman whose intellect burned just as bright, found themselves drawn to ideas and to each other with a gravity that outran their circumstances. Their romance began with letters, not with quiet evenings hidden away. And it grew with questions about desire, duty, and the pursuit of truth. The world expected them to be cautious, to protect reputations and futures, but their words intelligent, audacious. Unafraid became a map for lovers who refused to shrink themselves to fit a single role. The letters they exchanged were more than confessions. They were arguments for a partnership that honored the mind as much as the heart. In later generations, those letters would become a touchstone for readers who believed that love could be a shared journey of growth, critique, and courage. Abelard and Héloïse remind us that romance isn't merely a spark. It's a call to become more fully who we are, together. Now, glide with me across centuries to a different theater, the spectacle and spectacle's ache of empire and devotion. Cleopatra, Queen of the Nile, and Mark Antony, the storied general, meet at the crossroads of power, desire, and national destiny. Their romance was not a private garden but a blooming force that shifted the sands of history. They chose each other with an intensity that felt almost theatrical. A blazing commitment that paid its dues in battles lost and loyalties bent. Their story asks us to consider love as a kind of alliance, where affection is a strategic act as well as an intimate flame. When their bond intensified, the world tilted a little, and art and literature learned to hunger for the dramatic, the grand. The tragic beauty of lovers who duel fate and still choose each other in defiance of odds. Cleopatra and Antony didn't just fall in love. They reimagined what romance could mean when the stage is the world itself, and every choice echoes beyond what the eye can see. Journey with me toward a solemn, sunlit garden in Mughal India, where marble and memory outlive a single lifetime. Shah Jahan, the emperor, and Mumtaz Mahal, his were united not merely by affection but by an alliance to preserve her memory for centuries. When Mumtaz passed, the emperor poured a lifetime of love into a monumental arc of white marble, an eternal testament. That love's longing can become a city's heart. The Taj Mahal stands as a tangible argument that romance can shape art, geography, and the way humans dream about forever. The story is not only of sorrow and tribute, it's about how devotion, when expressed with beauty and care, invites future generations to believe in endings that feel like beginnings again. Their romance teaches that love can invite us to build, to create, to leave a sign that outlives pain. Our fourth tale unfolds in the handwriting of 2 poets who found one another across rooms of verse and rumor. Elizabeth Barrett Browning, a woman of fierce voice and luminous tenderness, and Robert Browning, a man who learned to listen with his whole heart, found a rhythm in their correspondence that changed the way we understand romantic exchange. Their letters are not mere flirtation. They are declarations of mutual renewal. Proof that a relationship can become a creative partnership that expands a whole family of readers into believers. The world encountered their words and saw love as an arena for risk and reverence, the risk of exposing vulnerability, the reverence of choosing to grow together through truth-telling and imagination. Their bond helped popularize a vision of romance in which respect, intellect, and shared purpose sit beside passion as essential elements. inviting lovers to cultivate a garden of companionship as much as a spark of attraction. And finally, let us come to a romance that reads like a legend, yet walks with the weight of history. The stirring story of Victoria and Albert, a royal pair who made marriage look like a partnership of mutual ambition and affection, shows us that political life and a life of tenderness need not be separate realms. They navigated the pressures of duty with a commitment to conversation, to shared responsibility, and to a kind of everyday devotion that shines especially in quiet moments, the quiet affection that grows when a couple chooses to listen, to learn, and to stand together in the face of a demanding world. Their example helped reshape the idea of what a monarch-esque marriage could be. Not merely a treaty between crowns, but a union that nourished culture, learning, and the arts. In their story, romance becomes a blueprint for resilience, a reminder that love can be a steady compass in a world that never stops turning. These 5 stories, so different in texture and era, share a common thread: love that refuses to stay small. Each couple faced pressures, moral codes, power structures, personal loss, public gaze, and each chose to let love teach them how to be braver, kinder, and more generous. Their letters, monuments, public love, and private intimacies became catalysts for a broader romance in society. They helped shift expectations, inviting future generations to believe that love is not a single feeling that arrives at a door and leaves with a kiss. Instead, it can be a path we walk together, a conversation that lasts a lifetime, a force that reshapes how we dream about our own connections. So, what do these 5 stories offer us today? They invite us to trust in the slow, stubborn work of love, the work of listening, learning, and choosing each other again and again, even when the world tempts us to hurry, to settle, or to pretend. They remind us that romance isn't a finite treasure but a living practice, one that grows deeper when we tend to it with curiosity and care. If you've ever doubted that your own heart could change the world, let these histories be a gentle nudge. Love has been changing romance for centuries, and it's waiting for you to bring your own chapter into the light. And perhaps the most hopeful note of all is this: the stories we tell about love shape the way we love tomorrow. When we choose to read them with honest attention, we might find that our own romance is quietly rewriting itself, becoming kinder, braver, and brighter than we ever imagined. Because in the end, the most lasting romance isn't only about 2 people in a moment. It's about the legacy we leave in the stories we share, and the courage we summon to keep believing in happiness that grows, not fades. And perhaps the most hopeful note of all is this: the stories we tell about love shape the way we love tomorrow. Maybe your own chapter is still being written, and that is part of the magic. Let these 5 romances travel with you into the ordinary hours of your days, turning quiet moments into chances to choose love again. When a conversation lingers, when you decide to forgive, when you keep listening even when pride wants to stand guard, you're practicing the same art these couples perfected, finding a way to grow together. Even when the path isn't obvious, the heartbeat you hear here isn't just romance, it's resilience. The steady drum of attention paid to another person's truth. It's the patience that says, I'll stay curious about who you are, not who I want you to be. And it's hope dressed in small acts, the way letters became bridges across centuries. Or how a monument can echo a vow to remember each other when memory threatens to fade. If you carry a memory of a love that changed you, you know how it breathes into everyday life. A shared joke that heals a rough day. A quiet permission to dream aloud. A hand offered when fear makes you shrink. These are the modern equivalents of the ancient gestures we celebrate here. They are small, steady, and remarkably brave. So I invite you to lean into your own story. What moment, what choice? What small act of tenderness could you plant today that might grow into something larger tomorrow? Share a spark in the comments, your memory, your wish, your small miracle. And if you're listening with a friend, Tell them the last line that made you believe that love is worth choosing again. Thank you for being here. For letting history visit your heart. And for letting romance remind you that happiness isn't a distant destination but a practice we rehearse every day. Until next time, may your days be gentler, your conversations warmer, and your courage to love deepening with every sun you meet. Remember, romance is not about perfect endings but about imperfect people choosing each other again and again. Until a future glows with promise. Let that be your invitation.